This is Glencoe, Course 2 Math, Lesson 8-2 on the area of circles. When we talked last week in Lesson 8-1, we looked at the radius, the diameter, and the circumference. What do we say we do to get from the radius to the diameter? We multiply by 2. Okay. What do we do to go from the diameter to the radius? We divide by 2. What if we went from the diameter to the circumference? What do we do? We multiply by 3.14, which we call pi. What do we do if we were going to go from the circumference to the diameter?
Divide by 3.14.
We divide by 3.14. Okay? So today what we're looking at is finding the area of that circle. When we look for the area, we're looking for the amount of space that this circle takes up. Okay? So the circumference tells us how far around the outside is. That's a single distance. When I look at area, I want to know how much space does this take up. That means that I'm looking in 2 dimensions. When we find the area of a rectangle, what do we do? If we multiply the area of a rectangle, what do we do? What do you multiply when you find the area of a rectangle? Right, when you find the area of a rectangle, you find the length times the width. Would that work with a circle?
Yes.
No.
Yeah? Okay. So, what word describes the length of my circle?
The
The radius?
Not the radius.
Diameter.
Okay, so the diameter goes all the way across. So, that means that it would go all the way out here. That would be my length, and my width would go all the way here. Okay? And if I multiply the 2 together, then that would give me the area of the box that circle is sitting in. Is that going to work?
No.
Nope. Because why won't that work? I'd have extra space there, right? Do we know how to subtract that extra space?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
No. No.
We know how to subtract this space?
No.
No, I don't. Okay? So we're going to erase that. So the diameter is not really going to work. If we're trying to find the area, of our circle, multiplying the diameter by the diameter, which would be the length times the width, that's not going to do much. So what other dimensions do we have?
Circumference.
The circumference. Do you think the circumference could help us figure out how much space is inside that circle?
Yes.
Okay?
No.
How so?
You have to divide.
What will we divide by?
3.14.
Okay, so if we take the circumference and we divide by 3.14, we'd get the diameter. Is the diameter going to give us the area?
No. Radius.
Conference.
Okay. So, it's not the circumference.
Alright, circumference.
What about the area? Or what about the radius?
You have to multiply by 2.
To do what?
Get the diameter.
Okay. So, is the radius a dimension on the circle that tells us what's inside?
No.
Does it give us information about the inside of the circle?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's try that. Somebody tell me again, what is the radius? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Okay, the radius isn't going to be the area.
It's the diameter.
Okay. If I'm looking at a circle, guys, you're trying to figure out calculations. We're not there yet. I want to know, what is the radius? if I wanted you to just draw the radius, what would you draw?
A circle.
Okay? So we have a circle drawn, then what do I do?
A line. Halfway.
Okay, so a line halfway. Would that be a radius?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it goes from the center to a point along the outside. Okay? But for our purposes today, I'm going to redraw that a little bit. There we go. Okay. So we have a radius. So what do you think we should do with our radius? Stop.
What I think?
What should we do with our radius to try to figure out how much space is inside the circle?
Make another half.
Okay, so draw in another radius. Okay. So if I have that radius twice and I multiply those by each other,
Yes.
I get this little square. Okay. Does it have some extra bits to it?
Yes.
Is there extra space in my circle for it? Okay. But that little bit won't cover the whole rest of the circle, will it?
No.
No, it won't. So what could we do to get the rest?
Divide. Divided by
Hold on.
3.14.
Hold on. How many of those little rectangles do you think it would take to fill in? If we could cut out that part, how many of this section would it take to fill up my circle? 4 total. So we'd have to have how many more?
3.
3. Okay? But, and if my circle was drawn perfectly, those would all be exactly the same size, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I need something more than 3, because if I just have 3 spots and this spot's left open, but less than 4, because if we multiply it by 4, then I've got the extra pieces too. So is there a number that we associate with circles that's between 3 and 4?
2.
I need a number that's between 3 and 4 that's associated with circles.
3.5.
Not 3.5.
3.3. Three and a half.
Think for just a second. Guys, we're guessing. We need to think. Okay? Put our thinking caps on. Is there a number that we have associated with circles, and just circles, that is between 3 and 4? Pi. Okay? So, what we're actually going to do to get from our radius to the area is this. We're going to multiply by itself, which is called squaring it. Okay? That's that little exponent of a 2. So we're going to multiply by itself and then multiply by 3.14 to get from the radius to the area. Okay? And we call that, I'm going to put the formula itself over here. The area is equal to pi times my radius squared. That little 2 is an exponent. That means we multiply the radius by itself. Okay, the exponent of 2 says you multiply what's right next to it by that number. Okay? So if we had a radius, let's say that this is 4 inches. Then we would take 4 times 4 times 3.14 Does somebody have a calculator out that can calculate that for me, please? 4 times 4 times 3.14. I'm sorry?
50.24.
Okay, so it's 50.24. But I need some units at the end. What units did I use to measure that in?
Inches.
Inches. Okay? Now,
Inches squared.
that's going to be inches squared. When we were looking at radius and diameter and circumference, our units were inches or feet or miles or centimeters or millimeters. Because those are distances. Those are only working in one dimension. It's a distance. Okay? When we're talking about area, we're talking about 2 dimensions. We're talking about the length and we're talking about the width. Talking about how far over and how far up. Okay, so it has 2 dimensions. So our units need to have that exponent of 2 there. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Are there any questions?
No.
All right, thank you.